What's up, guys? I want to welcome you to an episode of the Mindset Cafe, where we traditionally were the Strive Tribe podcast, but we have transitioned and now we will be the Mindset Cafe podcast. And the reason, before we go into the episode of the rebrand and everything, was because we not only wanted to focus on just fitness and fitness related things, but to focus on personal development and focus on other topics and have other guests on that might not necessarily pertain to just fitness, but also just making you better and more developed as an individual in every area of your life. So we wanted to recreate the podcast and open up the door to anyone else that can hopefully increase your productivity, your development, both spiritually, mentally, physically, motivation, mentally, whatever the case is. So with saying that, welcome to the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy, Devin Gonzalez, and let's get into it. The first episode of Mindset Cafe. And today, the episode topic is the devil's in the details, right? The devil in the details in the sense of sweat the small stuff. Normally, you're told, don't sweat the small stuff. It's not that big of a deal. But in some cases where the quote is used, the devil's in the details, it comes down from fitness to, relationships to, your career, where little things do matter. Think about in fitness, right? If you're to do a squat and you just drop your hips down, yeah, you might be squatting, but are your heels on the ground? Are your feet planted flatly? Is your back straight? Is the bar positioned correctly on your back? Or are you holding the weights the correct way? Because if not, those little details can lead to injury, or those little details can lead to wear and tear on the body, right? So the devil's in the details on your mechanics and your specific movement pattern of a squat, right? It also goes into, let's say, your habits. What are you doing on a daily basis? Are you doing things with a purpose and with intention and being present while you're doing them, right? You can hang out, let's say, with your wife or your husband or your kids, and you could be spending quote unquote time with them, but are you being present? Are you actively listening? Are you engaging in conversation? Just because you're there and you're physically there, but you're not mentally there, you're not paying attention to the details of what it actually means to be present and spending time. You're just there. That's not going to build any quality bond. If you're not paying attention to the little details and you're just thinking about getting that task done or getting those things done just to check it off the list, you might be creating a bigger problem or more work for you down the road. By sweating the small stuff, you're making sure that you don't have to go back and redo a certain task or revisit certain things or continuously try to build a relationship, because you're not spending the actual time that you need to do the little things that matter. Are you listening? Are you, when you're having a conversation with someone, are you doing your work at your job or your work at home? Are you doing it to the full capability of what you can do? Are you giving it the attention that it actually needs? Are you solving the problem, or are you just putting a Band-Aid over it to deal with it later, right? And that's what you have to think about, is what details are you missing or what details are you neglecting just because you don't want to have to do it now, or maybe just because you're not caring enough right this second, and that's going to end up leading to another problem or another task that you have to do. If you're not spending quality time with your significant other, but you're there thinking that, okay, my physical presence is me being here, that's enough. Well, that can lead to relationship problems. That can lead to quality relationship problems with, your kids later down the line, which now you have a bigger problem because now you need to figure out how to fix that relationship or create that bond when it was never created because you didn't want to pay attention to the details when you were doing them in the beginning. So by ignoring the details, you're actually making yourself more vulnerable to problems and situations down the road. Think, has anything grown stronger from inattention or from, basically letting it just go? Has anything been made better by just that inattention or that in? Of course not. Whether you're a carpenter, a contractor, or an athlete, or an investor, or a stay-at-home parent, greatness is in the details. Success is in the details. Becoming stronger is in the details. So sweat the small stuff. Even if the small stuff isn't always noticed by others or even cared about by others, sweat the small stuff, because that's what's going to make you better, and that's where greatness comes from, and that's where your personal development is going to come from. Your mindset is going to be developed off of your discipline and your skill to actually pay attention to the little details. And paying attention to detail, it does take self-discipline. It's not always the easiest. You're not taking the easy route by focusing on the little things. And that's not to say that you have to focus on every single little detail and make it 100% perfect, because realize that nothing is perfect. But again, there's the overall concept that you are trying to do or solve or whatever, and focus on. But then there's the micro details that aren't as big, that make up that task or that thing that you're trying to get to, or that skill that you're trying to develop, or relationship that you're trying to develop. And then within those micro details, there's sub micro details that, again, maybe that's not as much as you need to focus on in every single sub micro detail, but you still want to pay attention to those micro details, whether or not they're being acknowledged or being appreciated directly every single time by someone else, because you being willing to focus on that and do it, whether or not it's noticed or goes appreciated by someone else, develops your self-discipline. It develops your character, right? It develops your habits that are going to translate into other areas of your life. So you have to think, you're not doing it for the praise, you're not doing it for the acknowledgement, you're not doing it for the good job and the pat on the back. You're doing it because you care. You're doing it because you want to get better. You're doing it because it matters to you. The details matter to you. The relationships matter to you. When you're spending quality time, that quality time matters to you. So focus on the details of your quality time spent. Put the phone down, put it in your pocket, and spend quality time. If you're at work, don't have your phone in your hand, on social media. Make sure you're paying attention to the little things at work, whether it's relationships or whether it's, you completing a project on time. Focus on the details. If you're at home and you're walking the dog, spend a little quality time walking the dog. Your pets need love too, right? But again, it's just focusing on the little things that matter to you and creating that self-discipline when no one else is looking. When no one else is looking, what kind of person are you? What are the things that you do? Because that's who you truly are. When no one else is looking and the things that you do, that's who you truly are. You could say you're, the best father or the best mother, or, the best kid, or, the best worker and the best employee. It's all good. And those are all just titles, especially if you're giving them to yourself. But when no one's looking, what are you doing? Are you giving everything 100%? Your workouts, are you giving them 100%? Whether or not your trainer is looking at you or not, and your trainer is pushing you or not, are you giving your workouts 100% on your days in between your training sessions? Are you giving your nutrition 100%? Are you snacking when you're not supposed to be snacking because no one's going to catch you? Well, realize the devil's in the details. When you step on that scale the next time, the numbers don't lie. The attention to details don't lie, right? You want to eat bonbons and ho-hos. Well, you step on that scale, you're going to be like, I don't know what happened. Well, shit, you didn't pay attention to the details. It said no cheat meals and you had cheat meals. You ate great 80% of the time. Well, guess what? That 20% outweighed that 80%. Your inattention to detail can outweigh your attention to just getting a task done. And that's what you have to realize. It's not always 1 + 1. The weight of inattention, even though it could be on a smaller scale or on something smaller, it can outweigh all the work that you've done, even if it is 4 or 5 times the amount of work that was overlooked. So realize that paying attention to the little things and doing it right the first time, or doing it right when you're doing it, can save you a headache, and it can leave you less vulnerable, and it can make your life easier. It can make you grow as a person. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first opening episode of the Mindset Cafe. We're going to have some different topics, that are basically just going to help you develop spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, as an individual. Some will be on relationships. There's going to be a plethora of different guests now with, this Mindset Cafe in all walks of life, in the sense of, different career paths, different topics and stuff. So I really look forward to exploring and, working and growing together on our personal development and our mindset, because at the end of the day, the mind is what keeps you going. Your body will go 10 times farther than your mind will let it. I repeat, your body will go 10 times farther than your mind will let it. So by us improving our mindset, by us improving the skills developed through our mind and through our discipline and through our habits, will help us increase and grow together. But with that said, thank you all for listening. See you guys on the next one.